get into it. It's crime o'clock, yeah, feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick-tock, won't stop, let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah, it's crime o'clock. Clock, clock, yeah. Typically new, neon signs glow, brick wall behind me. Headlines loud, but they never define me. They rush the story, skip the proof. I slow it down, let it show the truth. Files on deck, read every line. Timestamps matter, so does time. If it don't fit, I don't force the frame. Ask one question, whole story change. No fear my voice, no need to shout. Paper speaks when you read it out. If the math's off, I'll circle twice. Truth ain't loud, but it ain't nice. Yeah. Read it again. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah. It's crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Read it again. They sell a narrative if I sell receipts. Courtroom quiet, but the pages speak. Word for word, no added spin. Let it stand, yeah. Let that sink in. Screenshot save, timeline's tight. Missing pieces keep me up at night. If they say elected, I say why. If they say case closed, I say try. No rush here, we do it right. Truth don't bend for the likes of hype. If you came for noise, you in the wrong spot. This is evidence, this is crime o'clock. Clock, clock, clock. Stay with me. This isn't background noise. This is pattern recognition. This is documents. This is crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Say it with me now. Crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Typically unique. It's crime o'clock. Yeah. If you're here, you're early. If you're listening, you're paying attention. Show starts now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crime O'Clock on Typically Unique. How is everybody today? I hope you are doing great. I am moving like a sloth this morning, but it's okay. I did get some extra sleep, so hopefully it's going to catch up with me, and I am excited for this live, though, today. Thanks, Karen. I know, I dance around when I'm listening to that song. This is not a premiere. This is live. Live. I am answering your question right now. Is that Skull? Is that Scully? Good morning. The man of many names. Hi, Christina. Good to see you. Is it skipping? I did leave the studio after I started the intro because I had stuff unplugged and I had to get my microphone going. Can you hear me okay? Notifications scare. Oh, because you haven't been getting notified? If you didn't hear my trick the other day, I think I shared it on Dago's Live. If you're not getting notified, I wasn't even, like, forget getting notified. When I would, like, go check to see if Dago was live, it wouldn't even show me, like, that red dot. You know how, like, the top people you watch all the time, like, always show up at the top and it'll put a red dot if they're live right now? It wasn't even showing me that. And so here's the trick. Go to your channels that you want notifications for, and when I was looking at the notifications, it automatically defaults to personalized, and then above it, it says all. And so I clicked all, and then I started seeing the red dot again. So I could at least see that, yes, he is live right now. Oh, thanks, SRB. I appreciate that. This is not the live of a premiere. Why do you think it's a premiere? I showed a premiere Wednesday because I was not going to be home to go live. So I wanted to keep my time slot going. So on Wednesday, I picked an old live that went with the coroner information that I had done. I think it was like around Halloween time, so I was talking about after Halloween in that video. So I showed that on Wednesday, but that's the only reason why. Go to the bell notification. Fix my hair. Go to the bell notification and make sure it's clicked on all. Click on all. All right, we're going to get this Friday going. We'll do this one. It's Friday. It's Friday. Anybody got big plans today? We're going to get into the coroner information in a minute. Let's get ready for Friday.
We're finally here, right?
Well,
Mufasa, you know we finally here, right?
well,
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday again, it's Saturday,
Nope. Oh, yeah. Remember this oldie? Where's it at? How far in? Here. Remember this one? It's Friday night. Oh, just got paid. Right here. Oh, look at the dancing. Good old Johnny Kemp. Who remembers Johnny Kemp? There is nothing that beats 90s hip hop dancing. Nothing beats that. Skull, quit it. You didn't exist. You need to go back and get caught up. That was the best of times. The best of times. It is not the best of times over here today because I swear to God, it was 72 degrees for like 2 days in a row over here in Ohio. And right now it is like, I think it's in the low, it was like 37 degrees, but it's snowing still because the atmosphere is so cold. Yeah, your mom jammed to those tunes, I bet. They were the best. That's right. Oh, yeah, remix it. That's funny. My daughter and her girlfriend like to go to karaoke nights, and they were like, they went one night and they're like, there was all these older people and they got up and they were playing that one song, and she started singing it, and I was like, oh my God, that's My Prerogative by Bobby Brown. The best. Those are the tunes I like, man. Those were great. So yes, it's snowing, but it's not sticking, so it's just being weird. But that's why everybody in Ohio gets sick all the time, because it's in the 70s one day, and then it's in the 30s the next day, and it's raining, then it's snowing. So, but I'm happy today because my sister's coming in for my birthday. My mom's birthday and my birthday are close together. So she came in for my mom's, and then she's coming in for mine. So we're hanging out tonight. That's going to be fun. My prerogative. I can do what I want to do. That's right. That's right. Okay. Super quick. Super quick.
Tonight.
Nancy Guthrie update. Oh, where did I wanted to show the Brian Enton one because I don't want to show the whole thing. Is this it? No, that's Idaho murders. That's the 13th. Hold on, I'm showing what I want to show you. That one. That one.
Tonight, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos giving an update on the search for Nancy Guthrie nearly 6 weeks since her disappearance.
Do you think that this suspect could strike again, whoever did this?
Well, absolutely. We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that.
So Brian Enton has a little short out talking about this interview, and he said, you know, sheriff gives an update. I looked to see if there was an official press conference. This is the Nancy Guthrie case that I'm talking about. It was not an official press conference. He just sat down with a reporter from NBC and gave an interview to them. And someone pointed out that's interesting because Savannah works for NBC. We don't know anything about, she has not been found yet, Skull. She has not been found yet. Yeah, he's saying the same thing that they said in the Idaho 4 case, but Brian Enton made it seem like the sheriff was like, we've known since the beginning why or what we think happened, something like that. But listening to the sheriff, he's kind of saying that, but kind of, well, we think we know, right? But it's interesting. So they haven't been telling us that all along. What did they see? This is like my big question with the Idaho 4 case and with the Nancy Guthrie case. If they're saying targeted, like I looked that up yesterday, if law enforcement is saying targeted attack, that means they believe it was not random. They believe there was a plan. It was planned out ahead of time. A target was chosen ahead of time. Or it could be a location or a group. So to me, that means they see evidence or have found evidence of that. So the sheriff keeps saying they're getting close. Well, they've been saying that for 6 weeks.
And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you.
We pressed Nanos.
That's another thing. You know, you got to go to the source and hear it for yourself, because when I listened to Brian Enton explain this, he made it seem like the sheriff was saying, we believe, and maybe this is coming up, the sheriff thinks that this person will strike again. What do you guys think about that? Why would they think that? They think they would strike again.
About that potential motive.
There is something that's come out in the investigation that gives you a sense of motive here and why this person did this?
You know, I think it's come out from day one. I think from day one, we had some strong beliefs about what happened, and those beliefs haven't diminished.
Okay, what are those beliefs? What do you guys think those beliefs are? Do you think I think she flat out asked him, do you think this, or she's going to, was this a robbery gone wrong, or was this just a kidnapping? I don't think he answers it, but who feels left out? Hey, Damien Geller. Hello, hello. Who else popped in here? I saw some other people. Meg, Charm Free, hello. Holes or Halls 6443, hello. HOLS. SRB, I hope I said hello to you. Witchy Was. Clover. Sluther 75. Hey, everybody. All right, let's see what he says.
Do you believe it was a burglary gone wrong?
I'm not going to get into those theories. We have our beliefs. Everybody else has theirs.
Nano
That's so weird. I guess they don't want to say because they don't want the perpetrator to know that they know.
says he's intentionally withholding their theory and other details in the case, citing the integrity of the investigation. He confirmed investigators have been asking about potential internet issues the night of Nancy's abduction and said they're looking into the possibility a Wi-Fi jammer could have been used or if there was some other electrical disruption that night. The sheriff also says he's still hopeful the DNA found in the home will lead to the suspect. Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
All right, that's our Nancy Guthrie update. The only other thing I have about that is that apparently JLR had a clip in his live yesterday that, like, they found not Nancy Guthrie's body, but there was a photo. If you don't know, JLR and some other people that are out there live all the time, they went out into like the wash area, like a desert, isolated area. I don't know how close to the home it was. And there was like a photo of a hand or something. I don't know. To me, it didn't look like a real photo. And if you go back and try to look at his live yesterday, I don't think it's there anymore. So that was kind of questionable. Hey, Lore. Hello. Good to see you. I saw that. Was that real? Jesse Lynn, did you see it live? Did you see it live while it was happening? Because I just saw a screenshot that somebody had taken. Oh, Christina. I mean, I'm no expert and I have been duped by AI before. So let me clarify. It is easy to get duped by AI. You have to be very careful. But as soon as I saw that photo, I'm like, that doesn't look real. So, okay, apparently it must have been proven to not be. I did hear about the dog also. Foya and find out you saw it live. What did you think about it? What did you think when you saw it? Oh, you just saw something she posted. Okay. It was the guy that was with him. Look, I love JLR for being out there and covering everything he has covered. But I have also heard some shenanigans going on, but yeah. All right, nothing there. Nothing there then. Okay. All right. Why do I want to talk about the coroner? Kathy Mabbitt in the Idaho 4 case. You know, this is not about her necessarily. She's the one that had that position in 2022. So, you know, she's in that role. It could be anybody. It could be anybody that was in that role. My questions are just, what are the job duties in that role when you are the coroner? Like, what are the expectations? That's my concern with the investigation. It's more about the process and procedures, Audrey, Glitch DNA, process and procedures, with somebody that has that role. Okay. So I dug into that a little bit, and why I think it's important is because we are trying to narrow down an exact timeline in the Idaho 4 case. We were originally told that the murders happened probably, they were guessing, between 3 and 4 a.m. Then later it was changed to between 4 and 4:30 a.m. We now have video and audio of all the times except for around the time when Maddie and Kaylee get home. So if we don't have the audio and video that is around suspicious times and we're trying to nail down when the murders exactly happened, the coroner is one of the people that has job responsibilities that could help with the physical aspects of the bodies, give some information to help with that, right? That's huge. What exactly happened to them? There's been a lot of debate. Were they killed in their beds? Were they killed somewhere else and brought to their beds? Those are things that the coroner should be able to determine based on what they see. There are a lot of questions about why she wasn't let in the house right away. Is that the true statement of that? Was she not let in? Did she not offer to go in? I don't know. And I do have a clip, I believe, of her showing up finally at the house. So that will be interesting. I think we'll look at that first. So was she kept out? Why was she kept out? So then that generates questions of, did things get changed from the initial crime scene to when she got to actually go in and see what she saw? That's why you want to avoid that stuff, right? So there's no questions. There shouldn't be any questions. And I already talked about the missing videos. So I'm sure there are many, many, many more reasons. You can let me know what I forgot. Okay. Let me do this. I want to show to Discord. Where'd Discord go? Right there. Okay. All right. Let me show you this. You guys were speaking of Bubbly. I have a video from Bubbly about the, so let's look at this.
Information that you had to go through. Is there anything that stood out in that volume of information that you received that might lead police to say it was a targeted attack? Because that's confounded a lot of us.
Right. Yes, I didn't share that same, I don't share that same opinion. Really, I there's 4 people that have all been killed at one scene.
Wait, what?
Bubbly said, wait, what? Okay. So Skull, you're talking about Nancy Guthrie still, and I don't know if you heard me. She has not been found dead or alive. We don't know. She's still missing. She's still missing. Okay, this is really important of what Kathy says right here, because that, as you are going to see, is one of the job responsibilities of the coroner, is to determine the cause and the manner of death. So, and then some other information. The police said it was targeted. She said, I don't agree with that. So that just makes me question, what did the police see when they come to the scene that makes them think this was targeted? And I kind of mentioned this a little bit yesterday. Like, think about that. You're a police officer and you enter the scene of a quadruple homicide, and you have to decide, was this some random crazy person that came in here and just decided to murder 4 people, or do you think this was a planned out event? What would you see to make you think that? and to me, evidence of more than one person. I think, and I'm not saying this is what they saw in the Idaho 4. I'm just speculating. What would you need to say? What would you need to say, or what would you need to know to say that it was targeted? Maybe you know some background information about the victims. Maybe you know something about the victims that would make it targeted. I think that's a big one for me. Something about there are a lot of people have talked about an informant in the house, things like that. She doesn't agree that it was targeted, so maybe, obviously, she doesn't know that information. She either didn't see what the police saw, so then that means things were moved, possibly, allegedly, I'm speculating. But why doesn't she agree with the police? And that happens sometimes. Coroners don't agree. But in this case, in the Idaho 4 case, why didn't she agree? She didn't see what the police saw, or she doesn't know what they know. That's my speculations. Let me know what you think.
Young college students. So all of them were stabbed and all of them were killed. So I'm not sure how that is targeted.
I mean, it certainly seemed odd to me as well. Can you tell me if there were at least signs of struggling? Maybe the first victim was sleeping, but the ensuing noise and confusion may have awakened the others, and they may have come to fruitlessly try to fight off this killer.
I think that's one of the things that that law enforcement is looking at. I was notified shortly after law enforcement was called to the scene, but I didn't actually go there for several hours because they're the ones who have to look for the evidence and take the pictures and videos from the scene.
Okay, we are going to discuss that part right there. So what she is saying, she is not lying, and she is not, what she's saying is true back in 2022, because Idaho, the whole state of Idaho, they have a coroner system. They do not have a medical examiner system. They have to send bodies out to Washington. They go to Spokane, Washington. They have contracts with them to do autopsies. Coroners don't do autopsies. So no autopsies are done in the state of Idaho, except I think I found one place where they might have a person who's like coroner / medical examiner, and they can do some of them. But overall, that's the way it works. Even though the Idaho revised code, that is like state laws and policies, every state has them, and they govern all their different agencies, and they'll tell you like the expectations of that agency, all kinds of information. Back then in 2022, the coroner's responsibility, according to the state code, was just to determine the manner and cause of death. Okay, so it was a homicide and it was stabbing, like homicide by stabbing. Like that was her job on paper. Okay, coroners around the country do a lot more than that. They do a whole lot more than that. And if you get trained as a coroner, they will teach you those things. They will teach you to go into the crime scene, observe the body, take your own photos, document all the wounds, and, make like a diagram right then and there. They actually are allowed to touch the bodies and examine them all over right there at the scene. They can take clothing, they can take other items, things like that. They're allowed to do that, but in the state code back in 2022, it was just like, you know, here's the bare minimum, and that's what she did. So she's not wrong with what she did. Since then, it has been changed. In 2025, they changed the they changed the Idaho revised code for coroners, and it's a lot more specific now. I'm going to see some of your comments. They don't even have to do time of death. No, just cause and manner. Her statement's misleading. Yeah. I mean, if that's what your understanding is, a coroner does not have to have any medical background, although Kathy did. She was an RN, so she has medical background, so that's good. But you don't have to. You can be elected, but you do have to take a coroner class within the first year. So you do have to go through some training the first year. Hi, Momo's thinking. I'm going to look for that right now, Charm Free. I think Bubbly has it. I think it's in the video I'm showing right now.
So I think they would have more information than I would about that.
Inside that house, how big is the scene?
It's a large house. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's a big scene to investigate.
Multiple floors? The incident happened on multiple floors?
Well, it's a multiple floor house, yes.
But did the crime happen on multiple floors, meaning they had to do forensics and there were victims and evidence on multiple floors?
Her cat's funny.
I think there's evidence on multiple floors, yes.
Were there bodies found on multiple floors in different locations, or were they all found together?
I am not authorized to release that right now.
Well, I certainly respect what you can and can't do, and I really appreciate you coming on with us tonight. This is just a horrendous situation. Kathy Mabbitt, thank you for your work and for your time.
All right, I'm going to skip to where I think, oh, right here. Is this it? This is it. Okay, right here. So you guys watch closely. I'm going to look for a timestamp. This says Kathy Mabbitt was at the crime scene by 12:07. I think she went in at like 8:15 or something at night. Let me see.
It's a.
Okay. Why did they blur the faces out? Why are we blurring faces out of public officials? That kind of looks like a dude. I don't know. That looks like a beard there. Let's keep looking and see. Plus, this is early. This is at noon. 12:08, something like that.
Wait, what?
That's 12:08 body camera. That's EMTs.
There's 4 deceased people in that house. Allegedly.
It could be her.
The cops don't have the
Why are they blurring out faces? I need to find this unblurred. What?
authorization to actually determine if they are deceased or not. That's Kathy's job. It looks like there's some.
It does look like her. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Looking at your comments. I know, Charm Free. Oh, trying to find it unredacted. I thought I did see them walking up without their faces blurred. I don't know. You do think it's her? I mean, oh wait, now she's putting her face. Okay, I don't know if she's putting her face on who she thinks it is. That it? Oh, there's a stethoscope. Let me see. Play.
Young guys there. Can you imagine how confusing that would be? That the
Look what she wrote on this.
police wouldn't let you in
I'm dead.
a house where there's 4 deceased people.
She's not wrong. I do think there's some cleavage there.
Imagine that. Like little kids.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No, you're good.
Hang in there, brother. There.
Oh, you could kind of hear her voice there for a quick second.
What do you guys think? Think that's Kathy? I think it is. Plus the voice. Sounds just like her at the very end. And it looks like the way she stood in several things I've seen her in, but I couldn't find them. Oh, and by golly, look who they brought. Leonard. Go figure. Does Leonard have a brother on the force? Why? Look at all of them. Like little kids. There to help.
Who's Leonard? What? I'm not sure what she's referencing there. I'll drop the link for this video, and please go follow Bubbly Waters if you're not. I'm sure you guys already are, but give her a huge shout out for this video.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No, you're good.
Hang in there, brother. There.
They're all there to help. And then Jack walks by. Wow, wouldn't that be a shocker if that was actually Leonard? I mean, since they do, every year, come hell or high water, feed those cops on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And in 2022, they came to their house and dined. Thanksgiving at the Leonards. Yippee! Right here, this shows me that they don't allow Kathy to do her job if she even knows how to do the job. I don't know.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Like I said, she might just be one of the minions, but the thing is they don't even allow her to do it. They're not letting her on.
Let me see. She's saying a lot of the same things I've said. Let me see what this is.
As that killer is still on the loose.
Jake Carolexis is live at the police department out there. So, Jake, which outside areas are police actually looking at?
Well, Matt and Nia, police say they're examining areas up to 30 miles outside of Moscow looking for clues. Investigators have been asking for surveillance video in Troy, which is about 12 miles east of Moscow.
All right, this is off topic now, but really good video. Shout out Bubbly. Oh, no way. He's the one that cut his chicken with a knife. I mean, wait a minute. What did he say he did? He said he cut his chicken. Why can't I remember the joke? He cut his chicken with what? Why was it so funny? I can't remember, but it was really funny. The chicken cutting guy. Yeah. Okay. So now that we know, let me get this. Nope, this one. So we know in 2022, the Idaho revised code was very, 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 very basic about coroner duties, okay? Since then, in 2025, it's been updated. So I just used ChatGPT to help me with this, you guys. So we're going to look at what it told me. Okay. This is the statutes that governed Idaho in 2022. They're elected for a 4-year term. Some counties can appoint their coroners instead of electing them. They are supposed to do the death investigation. So they must investigate violent deaths, suspicious deaths, deaths without a known medical cause, deaths occurring outside medical care, and deaths in custody or institutions, okay? They determine the cause and the manner of death, and that's all she did, and she did her job, okay? Yeah, now I gotta go find out what that guy with the chicken did. That was funny. Yeah. Hold on, I'm pulling up this document that I want. Do that. Look at this, you guys. I made myself things that I can copy and paste. I appreciate it if you guys would take a second to hit that like button. Very much appreciated. Okay, so they determine the cause and the manner of death. They are medico-legal death investigators, okay? They order the autopsies. They do not perform the autopsies. They can do scene investigation. So they respond to the death scene, they examine the body, they collect information about the circumstances of the death. That's very broad. And they coordinate with law enforcement. And this right here, I think, can get convoluted depending where you're at. So we know how when people get power, it can go to their head. It can make them be less cooperative to work with other people. So, you know, collaborating with law enforcement, like law enforcement, I could see them taking over the lead and being like, you know, we're in charge here and we're dictating to you what you're going to do. Like I could see that happening in this kind of a situation, just speculating over here. And so maybe she was just told, hang back, and she listened to them instead of fighting it, right? They do death certification. They complete the death certificates and the cause and manner of death. Record keeping, death investigation reports, autopsy reports, evidence and records related to deaths. Those are the items that I think, yes, we don't, the photos can be redacted, but we should be able to see more information than what we've been able to see. This is interesting. I've talked about this before on a previous episode. Coroners can do an inquest. And that means they are kind of like, they can act as kind of like the third party overseers, right? If they watch this investigation, they have, since they're supposed to be collaborating with law enforcement on the investigation, she should have inside information. She should know a lot. And if she sees something that doesn't seem right, or it's going in the wrong direction, or something's being ignored, she can do an inquest. And I looked it up on that previous episode. I can't remember all the details, but I know it's an investigation. So she can request like an investigation, an outside investigation into something that she might think she doesn't agree with, it's not right, it's not legal, something like that. Like it's a big deal. So that's a word for you to remember, an inquest. Right, Charm Free, like to be that much of a go-getter, like to get an RN degree and a law degree, like, oh my goodness, like, and then to be passive, that doesn't make sense. It's her job to notify the next of kin, and I think that's why we had that. You're supposed to go in person. We're going to listen to a real coroner describe how this is done. You're supposed to go in person, and a lot of times law enforcement will go with you, okay? But remember, in this case, she called the house and got one of the kids on the phone. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be done. All right. They also have public health roles, so it's not just like crime scene. All right. Now, here's what happened in 2025. In 2025, they realized that their directions for the coroner were just too vague, too little. So what they did was, let me get it here, right here. They must conduct an independent death investigation. They must conduct their own investigation. So what they did in 2025 is they made that perfectly clear. They made that perfectly clear to the coroner. You are not just going to say, oh, it's a murder and they died by stabbing. Oh, it's a, accidental death and they died by drowning. You have to do an investigation. So they made that perfectly clear in 2025. Law enforcement conducts their criminal investigation, but you must do your own investigation, and they must be separate. So she should have, now that, not back in 2022, which is a shame. It's a shame. But now they must be separate. So I think that is interesting. They expanded the list of types of deaths in 2025. So they're starting to be more specific. They have to get that training now. They cannot own a funeral home. They can't have a conflict of interest. I know she had a conflict of interest because she's a lawyer. Like, that's kind of weird to be the lawyer and then show up. She wouldn't be allowed to show up to a crime scene and then later represent that client. I don't know if she ran into that, but that's weird. Okay. Let me see if there's anything more in here. Okay. Responding to the death scene. Now, I'm pointing this out because these are law now. They were not law in 2022, but they were still part of the job. She could have still done these things. It's part of the job. So she would confirm the death, visually examine the body, document the body position and the surroundings, and then coordinate with law enforcement. She would do scene documentation, the location of the bodies, the environmental conditions, signs of trauma. And this is important here, the lividity and the rigor mortis. Let's see. She should have scene diagrams, written notes, witness statements. I mean, this is crazy. Examining the body, identifying marks on the body, signs of trauma, estimated post-mortem intervals. So looking at, because we know rigor, I've heard people say rigor mortis. I don't know, tomato. That doesn't last. So is it currently set in? Has it not set in yet? Did it set in and release? Those all help determine time of death. So there's just a whole lot more here that a coroner could do. They can collect clothing. They can collect trace evidence. They can collect biological samples. And one of the questions I had, I think we're going to look at in one of the documents. Oh, yes, in the document I was looking for yesterday, I found it. And it's in the, as much of an autopsy report as we're probably going to get. They described blood spatter on the sheet on the bed, the sheet material, the sheet cover on the bed, where the sheath, the knife sheath, was located. And so if the coroner can collect other evidence, wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want the that information, or at least point it out and say, hey, this needs to be taken with the sheath? Because if there's, here's my point, if there's unknown male blood on the knife sheath, could that unknown male blood be on the sheet, bed sheet that was right underneath of it? Like I think there's high odds of that. Did that get tested? Did that get looked at? I gotta look that up. Bed sheet tested. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Short eye, rigor. That's the way I like to say it. That's the way I like to say it. But I'm going to play this video, and I think the lady says it differently. And that makes it difficult, doesn't it, SRB? You have an elected official, and you're going to go against law enforcement. Think you'd get reelected? Yeah, I agree with you guys. Thank you, Jesse. Hi, Blue Devil. Hi, Jen7S. Hello. Tomboy. You think she outranks them? All right, let's listen. This is only audio, okay? And I found this channel on YouTube. And they just started like 3 weeks ago, you guys. It's like a brand new channel. I hope they keep going. So maybe we can all go give them a like and help them out. What is going on here? Where's my playlist? We'll do this again. Wait a minute. It always kicks me out of my playlist. I don't know why. Oh no, it was in yesterday's. It was in yesterday's playlist. This one. I will skip around through this, but it's important. Okay, so this channel is called Why Be Silent. Let me do this. Please go over and give them a like and a follow.
And transitioned into the coroner's office in 2000.
I'm going to get right to the questions.
You know, whereas as forensic nursing, not just working within York County, but also on a statewide basis, I would add. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. Yes. So I wear a couple of different forensic hats. I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose my hard work for my nursing license. In South Carolina, you don't have to be a nurse to be a coroner. So I just wanted to make sure that I maintained that skill level, skill set as well.
And, you know, so just jumping right into, I think, you know, you brought up a couple of good things right there at the beginning when you're talking about the fact that in the state of South Carolina, and remember, people, we're going to be speaking specifically about South Carolina, but in your area, they may have a different process. So if you have questions about that, make sure you look into your specific area and what their process is. But in the state of South Carolina, a coroner's position does not necessarily have to be a medical person, correct?
That is correct.
And
So,
you have to run for it, as you said.
yes. Yeah. So coroners are elected officials. It wasn't until 2020 that we take that back. 2012 that there was actually legislation written that.
All right, I'm going to get to her job duties.
That is very important to recognize.
For us, anyways, they didn't have to have that kind of enforcement gets called out. We'll say it's called out to a scene, whether that's, you know, the
positions that are in that seat, and they are typically hired. They're not elected officials. And then you have some states that are kind of a mix of an ME and a coroner state, and then you have just coroner state. So everybody's laws are a little bit different, but we all have the same objective, and that's to determine how and why somebody has died. So that's the role of the coroner, is to determine the cause and manner of death of individuals.
Okay, that's the basic role that all coroners in the whole United States have, is cause and manner of death. This woman is from North Carolina, I believe. She is explaining that there's different expectations in different states around the country, but she's going to give her experience. And I think it would have been nice if all of these things could have been done.
Individuals.
So just walk me through, somebody dies or law enforcement gets called out. We'll say it's called out to a scene, whether that's, the side of the road, a car accident, somebody's house, and just walk me through, how does a coroner become involved in that? What does that look like for you all?
So I can talk about what happens specifically in our county, because even within South Carolina, offices work a little bit differently. So in my county, we actually are notified from our 911 system. So the initial call, 911 call comes in from a family member or someone that has found somebody that has died or has collapsed. They make the 911 call. It goes into the emergency operations center, and the emergency dispatchers send law enforcement, ambulances, whatever the scenario may be at that point. When EMS gets to that scene and they determine that that individual is either deceased, or whether they need to maybe try to resuscitate them and take them to the ER, whatever their decision is. But if they decide that the person is deceased there on the scene, they will call back into dispatch and say, hey, you need to dispatch the coroner. In turn, we get a notification of where we're going. We get a little blip of, a lot of times it's, 70-year-old male, unconscious, not breathing, found by family on scene, something similar to that. So we will actually go to the scene. So we get in a vehicle, we travel from wherever we are at that point in time. We go to the location of where the decedent is. We typically, they call us the last first responders. So we are typically the last person that gets there, because you got to think of when that 911 call came in, you have EMS there, you have law enforcement there, you may have family and friends and everybody else that has gathered. You may have, depending on the scenario, there may be other first responders that may show up. So when the coroner comes, a lot of investigation has already occurred by the time we get there. So when we get there, we typically will locate the law enforcement officer that is in charge of the scene, because they are responsible for securing the scene, whether it is a natural death or a crime scene, because some cases you don't.
Okay, that's a good question, Jeff. Should it matter if it's a small town or if it's a bigger city? I mean, a death is a death no matter where it happens, right? Should your environment and socioeconomic status affect the quality of work that you get from a coroner? I don't think so. And I think of like in terms of industries, right? Like one of the things with education, that's where I come from, so I just have to relate it to that. Back in the 90s, children, back in the 80s and the early 90s, we did not have like federal expectations for schools. So let's say you were a 10th grader going to school in Idaho, and then another 10th grader going to school in Ohio. You could be learning completely different information because every state could do whatever they wanted. Every classroom could do whatever they wanted. So even classrooms in the same state. I mean, think about that. I had a real problem with that. I didn't think it was right, that because then I felt the socioeconomic status would have a play in that. So take that to the coroner's office. If you're from a poor, small county, Should you not be able to perform the same duties that a richer big city perform? I think there should be, national expectations for that industry. I just think that makes it right. Like a death is a death, regardless. That's my opinion. What do you think? All right. All right, I'm going to skip a little bit. I want to just hear her example of a crime, of a murder, going to a murder.
One of the problems or obstacles that we have sometimes is we oftentimes have decedents or family members that have husbands or wives that they've never divorced, but they're estranged. Assessment, talk to the family, decide whether they're going to do autopsy, not a referral to pathologists around the state that will do private autopsies. Private autopsies cost a lot of money, so family.
All right, this is interesting because a lot of people said Ethan had so some people will say, well, Ethan had a second autopsy. So she's explaining that would be then private. It would be a private one, so you would pay, out of pocket for that.
Everybody still thinks like, oh, an autopsy should happen. And even in the hospital, like, oh, they died. We're calling the coroner. They're going to do an autopsy. And it had to be explained that we would have to explain to the patients, like family members, no, like the coroner's really seen the body. There will be no autopsy. And they're like, what? Like, they want that definitive answer. But as you just said, though, too, it's a tool, but it's not a diagnosis. They can't always find something the pinpoint to say exactly like this is the reason, this is the root cause. And I think giving people that realistic expectation of, again, this is a tool, not a diagnosis, so that they don't think, okay, it's
okay. So right now they're in a discussion about not everybody gets an autopsy, right? It has to, like, if someone's in the hospital and they have a natural death or whatever, there's not going to be an autopsy. At least from the government. And she was saying you could request a private autopsy if that was really, really important to you. Kane, hello, Kane. Good to see you today. Someone said they were surprised. Oh, yeah, that they're handled the same. Nope. Even within the same state, sometimes they're different. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. Who else jumped in? Right turn, collide. Hello there. Hello there. Lori, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
As they do this, I'm going to know exactly what happened. It's the same as when we do evidence kits for sexual assaults. They think as a forensic nurse, you come in, you're going to do that. You're going to be able to tell me I was raped if I don't remember what happened. And we have to explain to them, no, that's not what this is for. I cannot guarantee you that. I cannot tell you that you were raped. The evidence kit may not yield DNA. I can't guarantee you any of that. So we have to make sure that we're maintaining those realistic expectations. Because you can, they're disappointed if they don't get the answer, but better that they be disappointed than, all the other things that they can, because they want closure. And unfortunately, we just can't always give them that. You have to find their closure in a different way. But families can request autopsies, correct? Even if you as the coroner have said no.
They can. So families have the right to request a private autopsy. Most coroner's offices will kind of assist that family with finding a pathologist for them to do. I just know how it works in my office. So if a family is requesting an autopsy and I am not willing to do an autopsy, a forensic autopsy based on what we see at the scene, history we've got, then we will give them a referral to pathologists around the state that will do private autopsies. Private autopsies cost a lot of money, so families are responsible for that fee. They're also responsible, or at least in my office, they're responsible for arranging transportation. So if you die in York County, but your pathologist that you've talked to is in Richland County and you want that pathologist to do that autopsy, then it's your responsibility to pay for the transport of your decedent, your loved one, from York County to Richland County. So, but we will help them make those connections. It's just, it's not ethical because, my funding comes from county taxpayers. So if I have deemed that I don't feel a forensic autopsy is necessary, it would really be unethical for me to pay for a private transport for a private autopsy for a family. So we will help them make those connections, but the family is responsible for that fee. Now, sometimes and you asked about can they request an autopsy? So sometimes we as the investigators, the coroner's office, we may be on the fence as to whether we need a forensic autopsy or not. Sometimes we get, we could do one.
Okay, so knowing that if a family is going to request a private autopsy, and in this case, Kane, I hope you're having a good day, Kane. We know the Chapins. Well, I don't know how we know this. Where was it reported that they had a second autopsy done? If they did, it would have been private and very costly. So why would you want that? To me, I'm just, throwing spitball and throwing everything out there. Did they not trust what was going to be, how it was going to be done with the Spokane State medical examiner? Did they just want a second opinion? I mean, some people are just like I'm like that. Like, I'm very cautious about anything medical or legal or I don't know, everything basically, just because I've been burned so many times. You learn to get second opinions. So it could just be something like that. But I guess my point is you'd probably be very driven to want that, to shell out a whole lot of extra money, because she said you got to pay for the transportation, you have to pay for the actual autopsy. That's crazy. All right, she's going to talk about showing up to a scene. That's what I'm looking for.
Having that autopsy done, if you've explained all religious request,
all right, let's get to it.
Additional schooling and education, and those pathologists are the ones that should be
Investigative things that you have to do as well. And so the state is not covering that. Your county is covering that. Correct.
All right, they're talking about the funding.
Count those. We log those into evidence.
All right, here we go.
It's going to be collecting
that, though. Where's that funding coming from? What it comes down to.
Correct.
Now, so you do response, obviously, and you were talking about being on the scene and gathering different types of evidence. Processing of that evidence, though, happens through the crime lab or through law enforcement. Is that correct?
Correct. So in most instances, evidence related to the crime is going to be collected by law enforcement. So law enforcement is going to be collecting, the drug paraphernalia, the gun or the knife or whatever it may be that may have been involved in harming this individual. Coroner's offices typically are more responsible for personal property, so things that are on the decedent, like a wallet, the money, the credit cards, the jewelry, those types of things. We also will take prescription medications. In South Carolina, you're not supposed to have in your possession any prescription that is not yours. So there are actual legal circumstances that you can fall under if you have a prescription bottle that doesn't have your name on it. So in our office, we collect all the prescription bottles that are related to our decedent. So we will collect those. We count those. We log those into evidence.
Isn't that interesting, you guys? I think there were some pill bottles in that house. And I wonder who collected them. Okay. As Kim would say. Oh my goodness.
And then we have a time frame for destroying those medications, because we don't know if any of those medications may have contributed to the death of the individual, because we do have, we have opioids, we have antipsychotics, we have any type of drug can be a poison, right? So we just really don't know. And we can't, it takes several weeks for a toxicology result to come back. And if we don't collect those meds at the scene, and then we have something that pops up in the toxicology, we have no way of knowing, was that person even on that medication? Was it somebody, did somebody else give it to them? Did they get it off the street? Where did it come from? So we're going to collect all of those things, and then we will put those in our evidence and property room. Very rarely do we have.
It would be interesting to look at the chain of custody of the blue pills that were in Xana's room and see, like, did they, because I just have a gut feeling that law enforcement was probably the one that collected them. But was it ever shared or sent over to Spokane? I don't know.
Of the opportunity or the occasion to collect evidence per se, if it's a crime scene, usually law enforcement will handle the evidentiary part of that, and then they will take care of doing all the processing. The personal property that's collected, the coroner is responsible for identifying the legal next of kin. So there we go back to that, who is that legal next of kin according to state law, and that person is the person that we can release the personal property back to.
Can you indicate or request to law enforcement that they collect certain types of evidence? If you're looking at, the scene, and you can say, can we make sure that that you collect this, or that you note that, or anything like that?
Absolutely. That is one of the reasons why the coroner and the law enforcement officer go into those scenes together. So they're doing a scene survey together, trying to see what is there that may need to be collected. And we kind of work that as a team. So, like, for instance, if we have a baby that has died and we're standing there, there's nothing unusual, suspicious in the home, but there are baby bottles sitting on the nightstand. We, as the coroner, I want that baby bottle preserved, because we've had cases where we've had parents that have.
So that's interesting that the coroners can help point out things that should be collected. I would love to do a job like that, but I wouldn't be able to look at the crime scene. I wouldn't be able to look at the bodies. I wouldn't be able to go into the autopsy room with the medical examiner. I wouldn't. I watch Grey's Anatomy like this when they're in the operating room. But I like the investigating part of it. Like, I think that's so interesting. Could any of you be the coroner? Can any of you, would any of you be able to, stand in an autopsy room and watch that happen? Oh my goodness. All right, I was just reading your comments. I want to go back. I missed it. I don't have the timestamp written down. I want to hear her talk about showing up to the scene.
From our 911 system. So the initial call, 911 call comes in from a family member or someone that has found somebody that has died or has collapsed. They make the 911 call. It goes into the emergency operations center, and the emergency dispatchers send law enforcement, ambulances, whatever the scenario may be at that point. When EMS gets to that scene and they determine that that individual is either deceased or whether they need to maybe try to resuscitate them and take them to the ER, whatever their decision is. But if they decide that the person is deceased there on the scene, they will call back into dispatch and say, hey, you need to dispatch the coroner.
All right. So right out the gate, Idaho 4 case, EMS was not allowed into the house to make that determination. And I watched a video. I cannot remember where it was, or I think I might have been showing it. I don't know. I can't remember, but when I say they, it was, oh, I know what it was. It was the dad. Remember, was it last week? I showed not Chris Spencer, Caleb, the American Idol guy, the American Idol husband who said that someone broke into his house and killed his wife. The cops showed up. EMS showed up. EMS went in. They were the ones who looked at the wife. And the cop went up to the EMS guy and said, hey, I know you don't know exactly, but how long do you think she's been dead? Because the cops already knew what the husband was saying timeline didn't match what he thought he was seeing with the body. And so, that's important. That's important information. So in the Idaho 4 case, the cops showed up, like they can clearly see, oh my gosh, there's no way these kids are still alive. But letting EMS in would have maybe added on to more specifics. The condition of the body, the color of the body, the temperature of the body, all of that. That never happened. Whoever did inform the coroner, I believe she showed up. I think Dago was saying that he thinks she was there pretty much early, right? But then sat down at the end of the street until way later in the evening, way later.
In turn, we get a notification of where we're going. We get a little blip of, a lot of times it's, 70-year-old male, unconscious, not breathing, found by family on scene, something similar to that. So we will actually go to the scene. So we get in a vehicle, we travel from wherever we are at that point in time. We go to the location of where the decedent is. We typically they call us the last first responders. So we are typically the last person that gets there, because you got to think of when that 911 call came in, you have EMS there, you have law enforcement there, you may have family and friends and everybody else that has gathered. You may have, depending on the scenario, there may be other first responders that may show up. So when the coroner comes, a lot of investigation has already occurred by the time we get there. So when we get there, we typically will locate the law enforcement officer that is in charge of the scene, because they are responsible for securing the scene, whether it is a natural death or a crime scene, because some cases you don't know that it's a homicide until you get in there. So we try to secure the scene, which means they keep anybody that doesn't belong there out, and they will talk to witnesses. So they'll already have gathered a lot of information that we're going to need when we get there. So we'll talk to that first officer, get the name of the decedent, their last time that they were seen alive, how were they found, who did they find, who found them. Sometimes we also have insider look to their past medical history, types of medications that they may be taking, any complaints that they may have been having. So a lot of times we'll get that information from that first responding officer when we get there. Once we get that information, we go in. If family is local on scene, we will introduce ourselves to the family, let the family know who we are, why we're there, what our role is. We're going to go in here and look at your loved one, your husband, your brother, your sister, whomever that might be. We're going to do an assessment. And when we're finished with that, we will come back out and talk to you about next steps. So the coroner is very closely involved with that family. So we're kind of that connection at the scene with the family.
So she's kind of talking about showing up to a single family home or something has happened in that home. So you would have other family members either who were there during the event or showing up right away. That was not the case in the Idaho 4 because these kids were from out of town. You know, it was their friends who ended up showing up, not family members, and the coroner's not going to talk to them. So what she's describing here about her work in South Carolina is going to differ with what happened in the Idaho 4 case, because the coroner would have to do all that later at a later date and probably over the phone. Yeah.
Family with what's going on with the decedent. So coroners on scene are going to photograph. So we do our own photographs of the scene itself. So we're going to do photographs of the outside of the home, the inside of the home, where the body is found, anything that is extraneous, like if we find drug paraphernalia, or if it looks like the room has been disturbed, or if there's prescription drugs sitting on the bathroom counter, those types of things. We're going to photograph everything. We're going to photograph the body. Anything that's close to the body, we're going to photograph as well. And then we actually do an assessment of the body. So we're actually touching the body. We're going to be moving them to see if what we call rigor mortis has set in. We're going to be looking at the body to see if livor mortis has set in. That kind of helps gauge us on a time frame. It's not specific to when the person died, but it gives us a kind of a range. And does that range?
So that's the kind of information that I'm looking for in a report. And I don't think that needs to be hidden from us or redacted because it's going with the timeline, right? It's not, I don't think it's like derogatory towards the victims or it's too much information. That rigor mortis, liver mortis, like that information is important.
That we're seeing, what we're seeing on that decedent doesn't match what the witnesses and the family have given us. So we're starting to kind of put pieces together. We will do photo.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, do you think that Kathy Mabbitt did her own photographs? Do you think Kathy Mabbitt did her own photographs in the house? I do not. I do not.
Photographs, like I said, assess the body. We're looking for injuries. We're documenting tattoos, jewelry, anything that is of significance to that individual. We will take personal property that may be on that person. So if they've got car keys in their pocket, or if they have a wallet or something of that nature, we'll take that and hold that in our property until we can release it to the certified next of kin. Once we've done all of that, we will, if we're going to take that individual in for autopsy, we will call a transport, or some offices have their own transport. They'll transport the person from the scene to their morgue where the autopsy is going to be done. If it's a scenario where we're not going to do any further investigation, somebody that's had a lot of medical history, there's nothing unusual or suspicious. They've already, this is kind of it's not, it may have been a death that they have been anticipating. So they may already have a funeral home that they may want to send their loved one to. So sometimes we'll call the funeral home to come pick the body straight up, or pick the decedent up straight from their home. So it really is kind of case dependent. Now, if it's a crime scene, if law enforcement.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the reports, these are in the MPD reports and probably ISP reports. I think they said the bodies were transported to a funeral home. And I think, let me know if I'm incorrect about that. They were transported, I think, to a funeral home, kept there like overnight or whatever, and then transported to Spokane, Washington, to the medical examiner's office. And I believe they got the bodies on November 16th and finished the 18th. The autopsies were done on the 18th, I believe. I just showed that yesterday.
Responds and decides that this is a crime scene, we're going to have to take a few more steps. So we will, law enforcement they have a lot stricter standards than what our office does. So a lot of times they'll have to have a search warrant. So they'll have to get that signed by the court before we can even enter the home to look at the decedent. So we will work with law enforcement and their crime scene team or forensic services team to make sure that everything is documented appropriately and before anybody or we enter that scene together. So law enforcement and coroners go in together to look.
They go in together, you guys. Law enforcement and coroner goes in together. So from what I know, that was the wrong comment. This was the comment I wanted to put up, Momo. She should have, right? She should have taken her own photos, but she probably wasn't allowed. Yeah. Here's what my understanding of the way the events happened in the Idaho 4 case is that law enforcement showed up, local law enforcement, MPD was all over that house, all over the outside of the house. The coroner comes, she's told to stay down at the end of the road. EMS comes, they're told not to come in. Okay. Then MPD stays at that house for hours, tromping all over the kitchen, running up and down the steps to the 3rd floor. We see it all on body cam. It's all on body cam. They do wait for a search warrant. That would be something interesting to look up. Logan, hello. It's so nice to see you. I hope you're having a great day. Yeah, having the same issue, Logan. We'll have to get together and talk. We'll have to get together and talk. Happy Friday. I know I keep forgetting it's Friday the 13th. Yikes. Funny. What was I in the middle of saying? I got distracted. The timeline of the coroner. Okay, the timeline of the coroner. So they were waiting for a search warrant, and then after the search warrant comes back, I believe is when Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings, the prosecutors, they show up. ISP shows up, the forensic team. They all wait for a search warrant to go in. I'm concerned and want to look into why it's okay for MPD to be inside that crime scene and do all the things they were doing before the search warrant. I don't know. I mean, technically they weren't searching, but they were certainly walking around. So this video we're listening to, this audio we're listening to, she said that normally everybody waits for the search warrant and then they go in together into the house. She didn't even go in when Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings went in. I don't think. I'm looking for video of that. I showed that photo yesterday of Bill and Ashley outside of the house, and I did not see Kathy Mabbitt with them. So I think she went in later.
Look at what's going on with that body. So it really does depend on what type of case we have as to what goes on with the coroner. Once we've finished all that, we've done what we need to do with the body, gotten all the information that we can gather from the assessment, then we will go back out and talk to the families. So when we're talking to the families,
Oh, yes, Momo. That's another thing. So coroner's basic minimum work is determine the manner and the cause of death, and they do authorize the transportation, right? That's their job. Arrange the transportation, get all that stuff done, right? Yes, they do that. What the point I'm trying to make here is that it would have been so nice if we could have had coroner work done that was, more investigative, more evidence, observed, collected, recorded, with that other set of eyes that's more medical than law. more legal than police work. I just think that would have helped. Would have helped so much. Hi, stargazers and hood stargazers and hood poopers. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. All right. Little bit more of this.
I want to make sure that we've got spellings of names correctly, date of births are correct, relationships to the individual. Who is this person that we're getting this information from? Is this a brother or a sister or a wife or a grandma? Who is that? Because that kind of helps us start that. Who is our legal next of kin? Because technically by statute, we can only give information to legal next of kin.
And it shouldn't be 14-year-olds or 15-year-olds or however old Audrey. Was it Audrey that took the phone call for the Gonsalveses? Like, that was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, you know, the coroner work is just an area of the case that I had questions about and wanted to dig into. So let me show you the document. Where'd it go? Right here. Okay. I'll make it some bigger. So this is the unredacted exhibits S1 through S13 that came out, and it was the expert disclosures. Okay, so I guess technically the coroner would be an expert, the medical examiner would be an expert. And thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Hey, Mike. Venus Singh was the new medical examiner in Spokane, Washington, and I did a dive on her, and I could not find. I wanted to see her testifying. I wanted to see, like, what would she say about victims' injuries, and how much information would she go into detail? Would she speculate about a type of weapon? Conditions of the body, things like that, that would be more investigative. That's what I was looking for. And I could not find a video of her at trial. I know there is, I found one court case where she did have to testify. I think it was in New Mexico. It was either New Mexico or Arizona. But you know, not all court cases are broadcast. So I just have not been able to find that yet. I just think that would be interesting to see, you know, what might she have shared. So the next best thing is the only report that we have about the autopsies, which is in here. These are all the expert disclosures. So there's Nick Balance, there's, you know, a whole bunch of them. I gotta skip down to my page numbers that I wrote down. Wait, where did I do that at? Oh no, I was supposed to remember them. It was 29 and 45. I remembered. Okay. Let me go up a little bit. All right, this is hold on, I'm almost here. Okay. Okay, on February 10th, 2025, the following was received via email. Evidence list, Officer Timothy Smallridge, Moscow Police Department. Case summary. On November 13th, 2022, and just as a warning, whoops, where am I at? As a warning, there's going to be sensitive content in here talking about medical examiner findings, the body's conditions, wounds, injuries, blood, things like that. So just be aware, turn your volume down, or whoops, right there, whatever you need to do for that. Lucy, we just ended all that. We just ended all that. We just ended all that. Did I say we ended all that? We're done. We are done. I know I'm done. I'll tell you that. I know I'm done. All right. On November 13th, 2022, Moscow, Idaho police officers were contacted by friends of the residents of the multi-bedroom house at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. They were contacted by friends of the residents. Isn't that interesting? Right off the bat. They were contacted by friends of the residents of the multi-bedroom house. Bethany is a resident of the multi-bedroom house. Am I nitpicking already? I'm typing a message. Okay. So that was interesting. Contacted by friends. Make a note of that. Idaho officers discovered Xander Knodel, Ethan Chapin in a bedroom on the second level of the residence. Upon further search, officers discovered Keeley and Madison in a bedroom on the third level of the residence. No medical intervention was attempted. All autopsies were performed by Veena Singh. I also think it's interesting that her name is redacted in some of the earlier reports. That was weird to me. Like I said, they did the autopsies on November 16th. And right here, we've got the cause of death, multiple sharp force injuries. Blunt force injuries and asphyxial injuries. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this, but what I'm looking for in this, what are we calling this? They are calling this wait a minute, it was down here. This is just a case summary. Like, it's not even saying it's an autopsy report. They're putting this in with, what are they putting this in with? They're putting this in with Sutton's report. Exhibit S9, amended supplemental expert disclosure, Paulette Sutton. And she was doing the crime scene reconstruction of bloodstain pattern analysis. So there's her report, or his report. No, it's her. There's revised reports. All the things that they had to like change. They corrected the numbering. Remember the numbering that got messed up? I'm just wondering why they're putting, and then there's items examined. Why are they putting this autopsy information with that? Like, it's not separate. Like, we're talking about car images. Okay, here it's receiving a police forensic services field report 11. I don't know. So this is obviously evidence that Timothy Smallridge received at the Moscow Police Department. So it's starting with this case summary. This isn't a coroner's report. It's not a, well, it's okay. Autopsy number right here. Autopsy report number 221114-558. These are just notes from that. So what we're getting is the time they did the autopsy, the cause of death, the contributors to the death, other significant findings, types of injuries, blood alcohol. No, this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's no description of rigor mortis times, liver mortis times, stomach contents, all that other information that we want. They are using the word puncture. Then it goes into seeing, pictures of the scene. Oh, thank you for asking that question, Blue Devil, because I found an example of a real autopsy report. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Where would I have it? Yeah, let's look at, I wanted to look at, what does a real autopsy report look like? I'm trying to find where I hope I saved it. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Let me look. Let me look at my folder. One more place to look. One more place to look. Nope. Okay. Okay. This one is from Oklahoma. I feel like I had some, hold on. I know I had something better. I knew I had something better. I wrote myself a note. Find the saved coroner or medical examiner's report. All right, let's just look at this. Again, warning, we're talking about death scene information. So the other ones that I looked at were more like a written report. This is more like a form that is filled out, but this is, so it's I asked for a sample of a autopsy report. You think Tolson was at the autopsy? Kathy Mabbitt said she was there. And I do know that there is a report that says who else was there. I just don't remember off the top of my head. All right, right here. Okay, so they've got the decedent's name, all their personal information, all the descriptors about the person. Now, this one was multiple gunshot wounds and then a stab wound on the right thigh. I asked for an example with multiple stab wounds. Okay, so then they put findings, entrance of a gunshot wound, upper back, entrance wound, no soot, no powder, stippling, no exit wound. Like, look at all these details, like lots of details. The direction that it goes, forward, downward, toward the right, penetrating, where did it penetrate at? Like, that this specific information should exist with the information in the Idaho 4 case. There's another entrance gunshot wound in the right upper back. It penetrated through a different area. So here is what, to me, most coroners only stick to. Oh, I have to figure out cause of death and manner of death, and that's it. That's all I have to do. But my point today is there's a whole lot more that they should be doing that would help in solving these cases. All right, so then they have their findings, and this is where they go into, they're describing the wounds. Let's look at how they, okay, so here's the stab wound right here. Vertical stab wound, right thigh. Wound showing sharp margins and ends. I don't know what that means, but they're trying to describe the actual wound better. The direction toward the left. penetrating soft tissue with focal hemorrhages to a depth of 4 centimeters. Like, that information would help tell what kind of knife or weapon was used, right? Here's some other information that when I was looking at Xana's information, it was Xana and I think Kaylee. They had a lot of abrasions, bruising and abrasions. I thought that was interesting. It's not interesting. It's telling information to try to figure out what happened to these kids. Superficial laceration and contusion and abrasions, forehead, and multiple patterned abrasions of left thigh and small abrasions over the right temple and right shoulder. To me, that's like, you know, being hit, dropped, punched, dragged, something like that. And then here's some interesting extra information. A handcuff of wrists. Faint gray marks around the wrists. Like, I was looking for more information like that about specifically Kaylee. Like, there's lots of questions about the injuries. I'm sorry to be graphic again, but the injuries around, you know, her mouth. What happened there? What happened there? Where am I at? Right here. Okay. All right, those were just comments. Let me look at another one. Go back. Ooh, 60 stab wounds. What does this look like? Oh, I don't know if we want to look. We don't want to look at these pictures. We don't want to look at those pictures. Sorry. Okay. Let's go back to the report I had pulled up. And then I'm going to end with this. My phone is buzzing. It's my camera's going off. Someone's walking around my house. Okay. Page 45, I believe. This is page 45 out of 155 of the unredacted exhibits S1 through S13. There was something in here that I thought was important. These are spatter stains associated with impact on the right side of the closet opening on the south wall. And they are indicated by marker 46 in image DSC 4621 and DSC 4623. The majority of these spatter stains are circular in shape, with the shape of the spatters along the lower margin of the overall pattern being directed downward. Okay, I don't think it was that one. Oh, here we go. Okay, the knife sheath, okay? Right here. So talking about the knife sheath, the location of a brown object in the vicinity of the lower left back and or thigh of Madison Mogen is indicated by a yellow oval. We've seen this photo in the image. This object was later identified as a brown knife sheath. This is information from the medical examiner. The coroner is supposed to be on scene. See, this is why I'm doing all of this. The coroner went into the house. The coroner looked at the bodies, touched the bodies, examined the bodies, took notes about the bodies, photographed the bodies. In so doing, noticed the knife sheath, would know that it was a knife sheath because she saw it. So why in this report are they saying there was a brown object? That's weird. That's so weird. And then it's later identified as a brown knife sheath. Think about that, you guys. Like, what? If you're the coroner and you're going in and you're seeing the victim, and I'm not going to say, oh, there's a brown object under her. We can see it clear as day in the photo. You can see what it is. What would you describe a brown object as? A brown object would be something that wasn't an easily identifiable object, like not a hairbrush, not a comb, not a, not a knife, not a gun, not a knife sheath. It would be an object that could be many different things you wouldn't be able to identify. So weird. So weird. Now, here's what I was talking about. In this image that we can't see because it's redacted, the knife sheath is indicated by placard 14. Spatter associated with an impact is noted on the sheet, the bed sheet, on which the brown knife sheath is found. Okay, so if we went back and looked at the photos where the sheath is, there should be spatter on the bed sheet right next to that sheath. And I feel that the Q1.4 should be matched to the spatter on the bed sheet. Is there a match or not? Did they do that? Do you think they did that? I don't know. I'm going to go back and look for that. Oh, it's going to tell us right here. Okay. Presumptive testing for the presence of blood in the stains on the back of the knife sheath was positive. DNA testing on the back of the knife sheath revealed a mixture of DNA. Kaylee Gonsalves's major profile, Madison Mogen, potential contributor. The back of the knife sheath was exposed to spatter stains, which came from Kaylee and Madison. No mention of an unknown male in here. Why isn't there an unknown male mentioned on here? Maybe it'll get into it. Here's the next one. The front strap of the knife sheath was swabbed and tested. Item 1.1. Brian Koberger matches Brian Koberger. There's the sheath. There's the sheath. That's it. That's it, you guys. In the report, we don't get to hear about 1.4. 1.2, I know, is also on there, but that's, wait, 1.3 also. 1.3. 1.3 is the edge. 1.2 is one of the, where's the blue square? Oh, the handle edge, whatever they call that. Yeah, the handle perimeter. Yep. Where's 1.4? Where's 1.4? Is that, wait, is it somewhere else? Is it not on the sheath? Am I getting that wrong? Why did I think 1.4 was on the sheath? Someone's probably screaming at me in chat. Where's 1.4? Uh-oh, hold on. Someone is knocking at my door. Hello? All right. Carlos came home early. All right. You guys, someone let me know in chat. Was 1.4 on the sheet? What did I think it was? It's been so long. Like, I knew all this, and then, you know, you forget what you knew. I am going to end there for today. I am not gonna lie when I say that it kind of gets creators out of their vibe when all that stuff happens in the chat. Like, I don't know. It affected me today. I don't know why. Yesterday I thought was worse, but maybe because it was 2 days in a row. And to be quite honest, this is the kind of feeling I would get when I was teaching, and I would be like so amped up to be like, yeah, we're going to do this today. And then the students just like, I don't know. It's not a good feeling. And I'm talking about it because it's obvious Logan from the Bronx Tales true crime show came over here to my show, and I think that's the first time she's been over here because the same thing happened in her show yesterday. Like, it's ridiculous, you guys. And I don't know. I don't know. So it happened. It's Friday the 13th, whatever. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I'm emotional, I guess, because I feel a lot of pressure to begin with to try to like have a good show and like have everything planned out. And it takes so much work, you guys. And a lot of you know, those of you that do your own shows, like, you know how much planning and everything that goes into it. And trust me, I've been in the chats for years. And we get off topic and we joke around and we do that. I love that. I'm not talking about that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the making it about you. Like, if you're in a chat and you're like making it all about you and off topic, and I don't know, it's ridiculous. And I just don't, it feels disrespectful. And yeah, I guess that's all I'm gonna say about it. And you know, I don't want to block anybody. Like, I could block you and then just go on my way. And I'm afraid that's when it's gonna start happening. But I don't want to do that with people. Like, can we just be normal? Can we just be normal? Okay, well, I'm going to go wait for my sister to come and hang out with today. And I'll be live with the verdict room tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And that's with Dago and Logan from Bronx Tales and Mike from 24, the last 24 on the mic. Join us over there tomorrow night. And then I'm going to come back next week with some other cases that I want to look at, maybe some comparison cases. I do have some sorority and fraternity information also related to Idaho 4 that I'm putting together. So yeah, thank you all who are putting positive comments in the chat. I see you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, and we'll start fresh on Monday. Bye, everybody. I do appreciate you all. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for watching, hope you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. Subscribe, it's free and keeps us going strong. You're part of the crew now, right where you belong. Join us next time, same truth, same fire. We bring the heat and never tire. We're typically unique and proud to be a husband and wife in podcast harmony. Happily unique, yeah, that's you and me. Don't forget to like and hit subscribe, it's free. Come back again, we'll be right here with truth and laughs and zero fear. We don't always agree, but that's the show. One love, two minds, letting it flow. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we called it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. We don't always agree, but that's the show. One love, two minds, letting it flow. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we call it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. We don't always agree, but you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we call it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. Thanks for watching, hope you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. It's free, it keeps us going strong. You're part of the crew, now right where you belong. Join us next time, same truth, same fire. We bring the heat and never tire. We're typically unique and proud to be a husband and wife and proud to be a husband and wife in podcast harmony. Yeah, that's you and me, that's you and me. Don't forget to like, hit subscribe, it's free. Come back again, we'll be right here with truth and laughs and zero fear.